Skyblock is probably one of Minecraft's most classic game modes. You spawn in on a small grassy island with a single tree, and from there, you get new resources, explore other islands, and just create an incredible base. I've been playing it for the past 6 months, and I've recently surpassed my 50th episode, subsequently reaching the 100-hour mark at the same time. So in this video, I'm going to recap all of it, just for you. I hope you enjoy, and at the same time, thanks for 750 subscribers. Now, let's get into it. It all began on the updated 1.19 map, created by Dr. Trog. They designed the map, and if you want to check them out, the link to them and the map will be in the description. The first thing I found out is that this map did not have an infinite water source, so that was going to make things difficult. I made a cobblestone generator, and then used that cobblestone to expand my island. Basically, you know, the stuff you do at the start of Skyblock. Then I spent some time and mined a lot of cobble, and went and expand my island even more. I created a space to spawn some mobs on, which didn't really work too well. And I discovered the first island, the jungle island. However, I then died to a spider, and lost some dirt, which if you didn't know, is a very bad thing in early Skyblock, because you can't get it back for a while. After that loss, I went to the jungle island, and was able to get some more dirt from it. Unfortunately, the jungle trees that I planted did not get any more saplings, so I lost all of my jungle wood. And with these losses out of the way, I went and made a new tree farm island, because, you know, I needed to do something to get all the loss off my mind. Afterwards, I went to the mushroom island, which I also found. And during that, I discovered a spruce island, where I was able to get a new type of wood, a pumpkin, and snow. Then I once again went to another island, which had a mangrove tree on it. And on it, I found an infinite water source. So I no longer had to worry about losing all my water. That's a relief. Then, I redesigned my island. I could not stand living on a simple cobblestone platform. I had to make this nice. I have standards. And during that, I accidentally burned down my tree farm. I may have standards, but I don't have safety standards. Then I discovered the birch island, which, wouldn't you guess it, had a birch tree on it. Following that, I spent some time to plant my new saplings, because, you know, that's what you do. And on the way back to my island, I found a desert island, which, wouldn't you guess, had sand. You know, finding all these islands, it's getting pretty repetitive. I used the materials from the desert island to create a cactus farm, and then built an even better tree farm. In episode 7, I went to explore, wouldn't you guess it, some more islands. I ended up getting acacia wood, some dark oak wood, and got a bunch of saplings, so you know, stupid jungle tree didn't give me anything. Later, when I was killing some mobs, one of them dropped a music disc because, you know, a creeper was shot by a skeleton, and that's how it works. And that was pretty cool, because music discs are cool. But what's not cool was that I had collected all of the dirt that existed in the world. This isn't great because, you know, dirt's a pretty useful block. However, by then, I had discovered a way to get it. Using some obsidian that I had started with, I built a nether portal and went to the nether. In the nether, I created a gold farm, which will prove to be very, very useful. And then I traveled to a warped forest island, which existed. It's pretty cool. There's nether islands too. However, I did get killed and lose most of my stuff, which, is not cool. Following, once again, another death, I went to a bunch of other islands, like the Soul Sand Island, the Nether Fortress Tower, and I found the End Portal, which I could have jumped in, but thankfully I didn't. I found a second lava bucket, which was very nice, because this whole time, if I had lost my lava, everything would have been over. Following that celebration, I made myself another warp farm, which I basically never used. When I returned to the overworld, I realized that this whole time, I had been sleeping out in the open. It's completely unacceptable. So, I made a house. Now I'm no longer homeless. Following that, I went back to the nether, and finally duplicated dirt. It's a very simple process. You have to kill zombie pigmen for gold, trade that gold for gravel with piglins, and then craft that with regular dirt, and then hoe it, and then mine it, and you get infinite dirt. I told you it was simple. I then created a grass platform, which looked very nice. Following that, I remade the lower section of my island because, you know, I needed to get some stuff sorted out. My island down there was kind of a mess. And this began the biggest cycle, which repeated throughout all 100 hours of my world. Duplicating dirt. It's the thing I do the most, and I don't know why. Actually, I do know why. I just use a lot of dirt. I wish I didn't. I returned to the Nether and spent a long time getting gold, and then trading it, and then mining the dirt, and then placing the dirt. I made a grass platform at y=0, which then was able to spawn mobs. I got pigs and chickens, which are kind of cool, I guess. After getting some more animals on the island, I created some lower hallways, because at heart, I'm always a builder, and, I've got some limited resources, so, it adds a bit of a challenge. I created a new cobblestone platform and planted some mangrove trees on them. Turns out, I had gotten them 11 episodes ago in the series, and just completely forgotten about them. That's great. Following that, I built another new platform, and on top of it, I built the classic Skyblock mob grinder. For some reason, in all the years that I've played Skyblock, I'd never made one, and even though it's not really the most efficient anymore, I built it, and it's amazing. I actually really love it. It's probably one of my favorite parts of my island. Following that, I went to a really cool structure called the Pillager Outpost, because this version of Skyblock has stuff like that. It's awesome. Unfortunately, I died, but I did get to loot it, and honestly, wasn't that bad. I then discovered that some sheep and some cows had spawned on my low grass platform, so I brought them up to the top, and now had basically all of the animals. Then, of course, I duplicated more dirt. Then, I duplicated more dirt. In fact, I dedicated an entire episode of my series to it. You can really tell how important it is. I built a new grass platform, which, as you can probably guess, looked really good. I don't know what it is, but grass in Skyblock always looks great. And after building that platform, are you gonna guess what I did? That's right, I built even more dirt. And I used that dirt to make some new farms. I planted melons, pumpkins, and twisting vines, weeping vines, and regular vines. Weeping vines can actually be crafted into netherrack, which is a custom recipe in this. It's not in vanilla Minecraft, don't get excited. I then spent some time building on my island and extending the path at the front of it, which goes nowhere. I don't know why I built it. Afterwards, I decided to go on a big adventure to the ancient city. You see, at this time, 1.20 had pretty recently released, so I was excited to go to the ancient city. So I bridged over 800 blocks, which went through a lot of my cobblestone resources, and got some cool items. I didn't even summon the warden, which I was really worried about. I ended up getting Other Side, the 5 music disc, and some really cool materials, which I don't think I ever used. Afterwards, I decided to focus on some quality of life changes. I built myself a new, better cobblestone generator, and upgraded my gold farm, because I use both of those very often. I tried to make an iron farm, but it didn't work because I'm stupid. Then, of course, I duplicated some more dirt and expanded my grass platforms. Following that, I got villagers. It was actually pretty easy, just time consuming. I got a witch out of my mob farm and then used it to throw weakness potions on zombie villagers, which I then fed a golden apple to and cured them. I bred 2 villagers and got an entire villager trading hall set up. Following that, I rebuilt my iron farm, and it didn't work still. I don't know why, I'm just dumb. However, I did get it to work for a little bit of time, so I was able to get full iron armor, which is pretty cool, When you start with absolutely nothing in Skyblock, getting iron is actually a pretty big milestone. I set up some villager trades because villagers are one of the most integral parts of progression in Skyblock, and tried to tame some cats that spawned, but they actually disappeared. Don't know where they went. Following that, I actually found 2 more cats. I know I said they disappeared, but have you ever heard of animals spawning again? Yeah, it's pretty cool. And with my cats by my side, actually, no, they didn't go with me. I went and defeated the Ender Dragon. And it was pretty easy, I think. I have defeated the Ender Dragon quite a lot. You can check out my Manhunt series if you want to see that. Though, I wouldn't recommend it, because it's a very old series of mine. I went to the outer end and got an Elytra, which was awesome, because Elytras are just great. I mean, they make travel so easy. And I was going to travel a lot. I returned to the end afterwards because I wanted to get a lot more Elytras, and once you get one, you can travel way easier. I did die a few times, but I got a bunch of good loot. Following all that, I finally fixed my iron farm and was able to get infinite iron, which is very nice. I then spent some time remaking my nether hub because, I'm traveling through there a lot. I want stuff to look good. If my island's not looking good to me, why do I even have it? I could probably destroy it and make a better looking thing, which is what I did. However, I accidentally made it not spawn proof, so I basically had to fight a war against the zombie piglins. Following that, I duplicated an insane amount of dirt and created a huge grass platform. Then, I built a barn to store my animals in because this whole time, they'd been sitting in 2x2 wooden boxes, which isn't really great for animals, and in fact, I'm pretty sure I got a few complaints from PETA during this time. I then went and expanded my island some more, building a new tree farm and a new underground room for my nether portal. And thanks to my elytra, I was able to travel to one of the other cool structures in this, the Woodland Mansion. There, I got some name tags, which were really useful, because I named my pet cats, and that's the most important thing. At this point, I also made a little Technoblade memorial on my island, because he was the reason I started this series. Just the little monologue at the start of his Hypixel Skyblock series really made me want to play this. And I was at a really dark time when I started this, because my channel had basically failed. And I'm not going to go into the full depths of this, but my channel means a lot to me. So, I started this series, and it went well. So I guess thanks, Technoblade. I then began doing some building. I built a tunnel system under my island and grinded a bunch of trades with villagers. I did get a bunch of junk from that, but now my villagers were able to trade me some good stuff. And at this time, the seasons were changing. The leaves turned orange and red and yellow and all the other colors, and that told me fall was here. I created a forest on my island because, it's fall, gotta have a forest, and expanded my tunnels a little more. Following that, I built a sand farm, which actually grinds sand. It's really cool, because sand's a pretty limited resource until you make this thing. And if you play this Skyblock map, you have to make this thing. Well, it's not a requirement, I would just recommend it. Just do it. Listen to me. Do it. Then, I died, and lost almost everything. I got some temporary gear, and returned to the outer end. And I got stacked. I got some amazing gear. In fact, I got Silk Touch, and I was able to collect mycelium from the Mushroom Island. Following that, with a fresh set of elytra, I traveled to the Ocean Monument. Another thing that's in the Skyblock map. Almost all the regular structures are in this, except the village. I looted it, which mostly contained destroying it, and built a mini monument, which for some reason, I made the thumbnail. And it's better than actually making the thumbnail the monument. I don't know why, but this mini monument, it was just kind of cute. Following this, I decided to focus on planning. You see, I was already well over halfway to 50 episodes, and well over 50 hours. So I wanted to get to work on building and making my island seem like it's a 50-hour island. So I built some huge outlines, and built my bridge all the way to the other side. Because, gotta have bridges. Following that, I destroyed my sand farm and made an actual sand farm, because I didn't tell you this, my old one was just a big box. Following that, I duplicated lots of dirt, and I actually constructed a pond in the sky. It's pretty impressive how that works. However, I then did die and lose everything again. This happened a lot at this time. That seems like a pretty common theme for me. Thanks to my villagers, though, I got mending books and brand new gear. I made myself a sugarcane farm, and replaced the trapdoors on my island with real glass windows. I don't know if you've realized this, but glass? It's pretty nice. It's better than having trapdoors for windows, I'll tell you that. And once you guess it, it was time to duplicate even more dirt. I built a replica village with the actual designs used in regular village, which is awesome. And I duplicated lava, which you might be wondering how that works. Thanks to a wandering trader, I got dripstone, and dripstone can drip lava. That's basically how it works. You just have it drip into a cauldron and then get a bucket of it. Following that, I took some time to celebrate Halloween, because that's what happened. This happened all in real time. I went through Halloween, Thanksgiving, and soon I'll be going through Christmas. That's gonna date the video. And on Halloween, special mobs can spawn, which have pumpkins and jack-o'-lanterns on their head. So I gathered a bunch of them during a long stream, and everything went well. Then I took down my Halloween decorations because it was November. And And of course, I had to make a place to store the mobs, so I made myself a museum, which I'm still very proud of. Then I decided to make another very useful farm, the Nether Fortress Farm. It allows me to get infinite blaze rods, coal, bones, and easily get wither skeleton skulls, which would be very useful. I then farmed even more sand and made a replica desert biome. My goal in this series has actually been to make it feel like I'm not in Skyblock, because if I can do that, that'll mean I've made a pretty big island. And as I've said, I'm a builder at heart, and I've never had a mega base in Minecraft, and to this day, my goal is still that. I then duplicated even more dirt, because as I've told you before, that's the central loop of Skyblock. I expanded the forest to the other side of my island, and expanded my nether hub. I then built a super efficient creeper farm, because I was running out of rockets a lot, and with Elytra, rockets are really important. However, following a looting of the Bastion remnant, which does exist in the nether, I died and lost my last Elytra in the void. So the entire series ground to a halt, because I really needed an Elytra. By this time, I'd gotten really used to it. So without it, I felt like, crippled. I lost an entire thing, which was basically my whole mobility. So I returned to the end with some pretty scrappy gear, and I died a lot. Like, a lot. Look at this. Uh-oh. Oh my gosh. Not again! You're kidding me! Eventually, I got into the end. Found a pair of Elytra, but then died with it, thousands of blocks away from my spawn. So this time, I'd given up. I just resorted to building. That's kind of my therapy. Building therapy. I sorted my outdoor chests, which were really just my junk chests. They sat outside, collected dust, and collected my junk. However, I gained my motivation back, and I returned to the end. I found my old loot, and even got more. I had basically gotten back to where I was before, if not better. And to make things even better, snow arrived on my island. If there's one thing you need to know about me, Christmas is my favorite time of the year. If there's snow, which I don't see in real life, I really get a festive mood on. So I fixed stuff around my island and decorated it. And by that, I mean I planted one spruce tree in the center of my island. I then went to the end again, and thanks to my new pair of Elytra, I got even more, as well as a bunch of shulker boxes, because those are actually pretty useful. Who would have known? And then, the end came. And not the end, well, kind of the end, like the end dimension, but the end of the series as it is now. Episode 50, Hour 100. I went to my Nether Fortress farm and got wither skulls, because to end the first 50 episodes of this series, I wanted to fight the wither. So I traveled to the end, which had the biggest section of terrain out of anywhere in my world, and I summoned the wither. And I wrecked it, just kidding, I died so many times and lost half my gear. I got pretty distraught because, I had basically made my end a death trap. However, I geared up, I went back, and I died again. And I geared up, and I went back, and I died again. But the third time was the charm, I think. And I got a new bow, which absolutely destroyed the thing. And once I'd gotten into its melee phase, I killed it so quickly. Like, the melee phase is so easy. That first part, though, really hard. It dropped a nether star. And a special thing about this map, it dropped ancient debris. I haven't done anything with it yet. I then built a beacon, showing that I had killed the wither, and that the series had ended. Yep, that's where it is. Thank you so much if you watched this whole video. Probably not my best, but hey, it's a 50 episode recap. I've never done anything like this before. Thank you all for 750 subscribers. That's 3/4 of the way to my all-time dream on YouTube, which is to hit 1,000. So if we could get there, maybe even next year. I'm not saying by the end of this year, that's not happening. I'm not going to tell you to subscribe, but if you enjoyed this video, feel free to. And I'll see you again very soon with episode 51. I'm going all the way to 100, unless I die in real life. If I die in the game, I'll just, respawn. Doesn't happen in real life. Oh, great, I'm having one of these monologues again. I really need to stop this. This is a really bad habit, Just roll the outro. That's what you're waiting for now.